Hi guys, this is Tarquin, and when you think about what matters most to you, why is it wheat? So today we're just going to do a little bit more wheat. We're going to hang out. I figured if we fly over the field at the beginning, that could be a fun change. We won't be slow rolling people anymore. You can just look at the field. This is only part of the field. We're going to go to the end of the field, where the work happens. It's so sad, you know, when you fly, it goes so quick. But really, it takes a while to walk this. It's a larger field than it looks from the air, is all I'm saying. I feel embarrassed. I'm like, I promised them a large wheat field, and I gave them this. Alright, we need to... back to work. It occurred to me that maybe waiting until the end of the video to show the wheat field was cruel, you know, like once at the beginning and once at the end. That'll be the way. People would only see it at the beginning if they were here at the very beginning of the stream anyway. Or visiting from the future. Oh, this whole row needs to get gotten. So we've got like a big chunk here in the center of the field that's sort of like, you know, it got missed by the various tendrils of industry. So we're just gonna work on filling that in. Various tendrils of industry, a good metal band name. You can take that one. I'm not gonna use it. It could be like sort of like At the Drive-In style, you know, incisive metal social commentary, dancing on the corpse's ashes, that kind of thing. If y'all don't listen to At the Drive-In, that's normal. Most people don't. I like them though. I always have. But I can't go around and tell people like I think you'll like them because, well, I've almost never met somebody and thought this is a person that'll like At the Drive-In. I bet they will. Let's listen to One Arm Scissor together, guys. Let's rock it out. Put in the Relationship of Command with its beautiful yellow cover and its Trojan horse on the front, and let us absolutely go to town on it. Then, of course, some of the members became the Mars Volta. If you're familiar with the ARC, then you already don't need me to tell you anything about it. But Mars Volta, another fantastic band. Neither of those things are actually about wheat, but, you know, you have to take a thought where it guides you. And I know you're saying you don't have to do that. Nobody has to do that. But if you do, maybe you'll get somewhere. Not that this is somewhere. Very important to sleep at night because wheat wants to grow in the light. And you know it's true because it ended up rhyming, and it's impossible to lie in a rhyme. Everybody knows that. That's why I told that lie, you know, in an unrhymed sort of unmetered way. That way you could tell that it was a lie. If it had a little couplet thing going on, no dice. But we're just going to run over here to the next place that needs wheat. There shouldn't be too many more of these little internal spaces, but I did want to tackle them. Because it's fine, you know, it's cool. But wouldn't it be better if it was wheat? The answer is yes, it would be. Plus, when you have these, like, you get animals and they, like, wander around in your wheat field, which is not fine or cool, actually. There are portions of this world that animals won't spawn in, because I converted it from Bedrock once upon a time in the ancient history of me in Minecraft, you know, like September. got like some irrigation patches that aren't there. That's fine. This field, like this part of the field, is not to be farmed, right? This part of the field is to be planted and viewed from the faraway mountain of wheat, which we can't see from this angle, which we can see. I'm like, it's there's no way we can't see it. I was just looking in the wrong direction. It's over there. That's going to be the mountain of the Temple of Wheat. One day. One day. Do I need to build the top of it taller? Probably not. Like, there's so much good about being an adult. I can plant as much wheat as I want to, and like my ability to get snacks is unrestrained by anything except my money. But man, having to go to work here in a bit, what if I just No, I'm only joking. I can't call in. I was sick last week. I did not get to play Minecraft. I had to watch television. I have a personal rule for myself, which is that if I can barely see, I have to stay in bed. I'm not allowed to play video games. And again, like, I'm an adult. Nobody could make me do that. But when I don't feel well, what I really like to do is lay in the dark with my eyes closed. And I know you're saying, don't you do that literally every night? Well, yes, but I don't feel good a lot. Sleeping is a great help. Plus, people don't judge you for it. If you say, oh, I spent 8 hours laying in bed with my eyes closed, people will be like, oh, okay. But then when you say you're describing sleeping, suddenly it's okay. That way you can obscure the fact that you are doing it in a non-sleeping fashion occasionally. It's very important to obscure the facts when you're talking to people who ask about how you're doing. I'm only joking a little bit. Because, like, you often hear people say, oh, you should talk about how you feel. And maybe that's good advice for most people. But if you're me, not great. Not a great call. Better to talk about wheat. Wheat doesn't have pesky emotions. It only has beautiful 7-stage growth cycle. Wheat will never leave you. I'm joking again. If you couldn't tell from my my distracted, strange laugh, that was a joke too. Wheat can leave you. I won't demonstrate how, but it's very, very sad. Sometimes people come up and hit it with objects. Sometimes those people are me. But not in this corner of the field. You know, this corner of the field, this will be... This will be just wheat. No need to farm the wheat here. There's not enough long straight lines anyway. Maybe on the other side there might be. But I just wish my life were like a VCR and I could rewind and tape over the bad parts. That's from a song. I'm not making that up as I go. I just like hanging out and listening to music and planting wheat so much. And all the stuff that I have to do in order to afford doing that, I find, you know, underwhelming. I don't want to complain too much. I'm doing all right. You know, the important thing is that I don't have to take care of anybody that isn't me. So life's easy. I could actually go to work less than I do and still make it. I would just have to buy less snacks, which would be somewhere between a terrible tragedy and an absorbable problem. I'm not sure where I'd fall on it, though. Terrible tragedy, reasonable problem. This pig's about to suffer a terrible tragedy. Get out of my field! Out of my field! I don't think our axe has any sharpness on it. I'm not sure how good my tools are in this world. Yeah, it's just a normal axe. That makes sense. I would have mislaid my other one and just made this one. But even though we're not making like huge progress here, I think this little burst of activity is going to make a big difference when reviewing it from the air. And when reviewing it from the ground too. So if you're doing with any kind of verticality, the longer you can go in one direction and tackle it, the better it is. It's dramatically faster to go down like this than it is to try to go right to left, because this is only a little bit slower than doing it what I would call the piecemeal way. Because anytime when you can reduce the amount of inputs needed to farm your wheat, you know, that's where your efficiency is going to come from. Everybody knows that. Land's not really cleared. That's all right, though. We cleared some of this with water buckets. And the thing about going upward like this is a much worse way to go, right? Because when you fall down, you're more likely to bash one of your irrigated places. And it doesn't seem that the opposite is true. But what we'll do is do some clearing here and then go on our way back up to the other side. Hello, Dogeral. Dogeral. Hello, Doge. How are you on this fine day? No, I just, when I glanced over, I couldn't see if it was an L or like a lowercase I. I might need glasses. I do need glasses, not because I can't read that, though. Because I think they would make me look very stylish. I'm doing well. Just hanging out and planting wheat for a bit. I gotta go to work here in 30 minutes, but been, I started playing this game Space Marine 2 the other day. Oh, it's so good. I'm having the best time. Just, but yeah, I didn't have time to play it this morning because I only had like, 30 minutes or whatever. So I figured I would get some wheat done. We need to get some wheat in the earth. Let's just go ahead and lay down real quick. And we can cut another couple rows here. Because it's very slow going if you just sort of like turn your camera around and individually have to move to new places to make the land fertile in the first place and so on, and then get your seeds in. And in some places, like, the geometry, it doesn't really suit doing this as a technique, but anywhere where you can, it's a much, much quicker way to get it done. Often on the sides of like sort of what I would call like Savannah Mountains or whatever. It's they don't have straight enough lines, but this is more just like a standard Savannah area here, so easy to get some down. It is nice. We got almost this whole whole hillside done, and pretty quick too. But it's all about identifying, you know, what shape the wheat can take. Because if you're like doing like this, you know, like this takes so long, because you spend time like running over the same ground. But with wonderful straight lines, you don't have any of those input inefficiencies. You can just notice if you need to stop moving backward or whatever, but you don't have to move the mouse too much. And, you know, for most people's wheat purposes, that wouldn't be important. But this is advanced wheat. You know, this is deranged level wheat. You can't take your schoolyard wheat tactics and get a field of this size. It would take you too long, as I exhibit some schoolyard wheat tactics while I'm doing it. I imagine in schoolyards they principally plant wheat. It's been a long time since I was in school. I'm an old person. I know they don't have nap time anymore. I imagine they're just out in the field with diamond hose or, you know, maybe a little pickaxe getting some cobblestone. Every young person I know played Minecraft since they were children, so I assume they had some sort of at-school training. I never thought to ask. But yeah, this is, you know, this is going wonderfully. I knew it would. Every time I log into the wheat field. You started learning to build. You're good at it? Awesome. Awesome. They don't play wheat or forced child labor at schools. Well, that's good. I mean, I guess it's good. I mean, planting wheat would be fine. Not to force them to do it. I bet if you just gave the kids a space to garden, they would do it because it's fun. And then you would fool them into growing their own tomatoes and eggplant and whatever. No, growing things is only kind of fun. Pulling weeds is not fun. So many hours of my life spent in the dirt, pulling weeds out of the garden and shaking the dirt off the roots and throwing them off to the side. It's alright. It wasn't wasted time or anything. It was very important labor. I wish that they had done that in school instead of making me read these books that were like for children. I mean, sure, I was a child too, but it's hard to express the contempt I had for other children whenever I was a child. Like, whenever I was 8, I thought that the other kids were just like so dumb. Just, I had trouble getting along with my peers, which I probably didn't have to tell you. I don't wanna be too reductive and stereotyping, but probably anyone with a wheat field like this doesn't always get along with everybody. Maybe there aren't too many people with a wheat field like this, though. It's hard to say. But yeah, that was a good little spur there. On the side, we just need to conquer that little side. Ooh, yeah, never mind. We've got big spaces here that we have to deal with. But no, anytime I joke about child labor, I feel like I should say that exploitation of children is bad, and people shouldn't do it. It was wrong in the past, and it's wrong today. And like, not being flippant, but I mean, millions of children do suffer worldwide, in unfree working conditions. So it's not a very tasteful joke for me to tell about making the kids plant wheat in American schools, but you know, sometimes I tell tasteless jokes. They're usually just about wheat. For the next Minecraft video, it'd be a crop vote instead of a mob vote. Tomatoes, bell peppers, or some kind of fruit. And a utility table to make food. That would be nice. You know, you could do like a little chemistry set with your foods. What crop would I vote? Probably corn? Or like, rice would be awesome, because rice could be, you know, like you would have to like totally change how you planted it. You could be planting it like sugarcane in the lower level things, so it would be like a mechanically and aesthetically very distinct sort of thing. And of course, lots of people in the world are, you know, they live sort of like rice-based calorie lifestyles as opposed to a wheat-based one. So it'd be pretty cool for them to see, you know, rice there too. Tall wheat, that would be great. But I like corn a lot, like in real life. Not the food itself particularly, but the appearance of corn. I've probably related this before, but we used to have corn in our garden once upon a time whenever I was a kid, but my mother was allergic to the pollen, so we had to quit growing it. But it's so beautiful and tall. And it would be so cool to, you know, you have your Minecraft cornfield and you're walking through, and then like, you know, the ears of corn get bigger and bigger and coming out gold on top of the green, and I think the contrast there would be really cool. You say, are they doing season snapshots right now? They got decaying leaves. I'm not sure if that's a seasonal thing. You might have been seeing the white oak tree, the pale oak, because they did like a new biome with a new enemy, and they're very grayed out trees, and like very very gray, whitish gray leaves. So maybe that's what you were seeing. I'm not sure though. Check the snapshots on the Minecraft launcher. Word. I will have to do that. Yeah. We can jump over to my hardcore world real quick, and I'll show you one of the trees. I think I know the one you're talking about, and I've already got it. But first, we'll just say goodbye to the wheat field. Oh, it's so beautiful. It is so vast. It is so wheat. But yeah, so like these ones right here. Come on. Like this guy here? Because this is a pale oak tree from the pale oak forest, and anyway, that's what they look like. So if that's what you were talking about, then that's live from that biome update that happened a little bit ago. It came out 4 days ago. Okay, word. Yeah, I'll have to look into it. New falling leaf particles to leaves, cold and warm variants for pig, wildflower, flowers, leaf litter. That is cool. I guess so, like, because cherry trees have the particles, right? And then I guess they'll have, like, how cherry trees, this isn't a cherry grove, you know, this is artificial, but like how they leave the cherry petals on the ground, I guess maybe they're doing that for the other trees to make the forests more, you know, foresty. All right, do we have any more patches that we need to hit? This one right here and there, and then it's just this side there, so good stuff. Yeah, you know, it's one of those things where I feel like they could update it probably, you know, a lot more than they do, but I imagine, you know, they've done the internal math on, you know, how wise it is, you know, to do that. Let's just go ahead and get that up. But I'll have to check out that snapshot. I waited too long on the last one. Later, Dodribe. Yep, thank you for your good luck wishes. This stream's about to end in just a couple of minutes. I've got to go to work. But thanks for hanging out. I said recently we want to do more frequent smaller updates. Cool. Yeah, because something like pig variants, I mean, that's awesome. You know, they could throw in a new sort of pig every now and then. There's a lot of different kinds of pigs in the world, visually distinct. I remember growing up, our pigs, none of them looked alike. You know, because you see a pig at the county fair and they're so handsome, and then you see a pig in a children's book and they look one way, and then your family gets pigs and you're like, oh, they're filthy and they smell bad. No, the pigsty was far away from the house. You couldn't smell it from the house. But when you went out to the pigsty, you had to do it. Also, I would always think whenever I was feeding them that if I fell in, they would eat me. Sometimes an animal looks at you and you just think they're not looking at you that way because they love you. And that is how pigs looked at, you know, 6-year-old me. Just like a wild and disastrous, powerful intelligence. Where they're like, look, I may be locked in here, but I am much bigger and stronger than you, and all you have to do is slip up one time, and then I would slide back down off the side of the pigsty and be like, You leave me alone, pigs. Yeah, you are correct to point out that Hogsbore's pigs, they can be aggressive sometimes. They are. If people haven't seen them in action, it'll almost sound like a joke. But a lot of animals are like that, right? Where you think, oh, like, what's the big deal with a bull? But like, if you haven't seen a bull that's mad, you wouldn't get it. If you haven't seen like a couple dozen feral swine burst out of the underbrush while you're up in a tree stand hunting deer, you wouldn't be like, oh, this is why you're afraid of them. But they're terrifying. They're very quick, they're very tough, especially like wild boar, which I think ours are more like just like feral domesticated pigs rather than like what you would think of like the European wild boar here in Arkansas. But yeah, and then they can be very nice creatures, but the wild ones are so intense. But any animal, you show respect to an animal by acknowledging, its power and its danger, not by like giving it a sugar cube. But it was like a couple of the pigs, they were really nice, but there was a boar. He didn't have a name. He was being raised for food, so he didn't get named. But he lived with them, and he was a jerk. But then, so I grew up out in the country. There are no houses between my house and the bayou, right? And whenever I was a kid, infrastructure was worse, and the levees would break, and the bayou would flood and come up like through the woods behind our house, and like flood the roads sometimes, that kind of thing. But one time it flooded up, it got to the pig pen, and the pigs got out, and a few of them they got rescued easily enough. But the boar, this wiry black-haired guy, he didn't have a name yet, but he got out, and my father and one of the neighbors were trying to wrangle him in, and then the pig just took a chomp out of my dad's leg. Not like a big hole, but like he bit it good, right? And then dad decided that the pig's name was Pork Chop, and that he wasn't going to hang around for very much longer. So then when the storms were over and the flood subsided, and the water went back to where it was, dad called up the town butcher, and they came and got Pork Chop, and Pork Chop was delicious. Nobody regretted the demise of Pork Chop. We were just glad that he finally got a name. He was a jerk. He scared everybody. I mean, I don't think he scared my dad. He just made my dad angry, but he definitely scared all of us kids. Just a real ruthless is a good word for it. Like, it's like they know that people eat them, and they are like, I am outraged that you think I don't know, and they just stare at you with their beady little eyes. No, they could do like a proper wolf update and a wild pig update. So like instead of the wolves being dogs, they're wolves, and the pigs are like boars. You just like and the cows are like bulls. You just get Shrek just like absolutely murdered on like day one of any game. You run up to a sheep, and it just like knocks you over and starts bashing you. I don't like sheep. I'm not going to tell the sheep story, though. The sheep story is being saved for my 1 million subscriber special. But there's a reason why I don't like sheep. Roosters. Roosters are jerks, too. My family, like most people, simply got our chickens delivered through the U.S. Postal Service. Hatching them from eggs is, like, ridiculous. What you do is you just get them delivered. And they send a big old box full of chickens to your house. Well, baby ones, you know. I'm sure you could buy adult ones, too. And then you raise them up, and you feed them, and you keep them warm in a little incubator thing, and then they get big and strong and lay a bunch of eggs. And then eventually you have to bring one to the county fair. Not an egg, a chicken. And if this sounds overly specific, it is in fact really how it works. I've related this before. They probably still do it, but they did back then. So the 4-H club would finance the chickens for you to create more future farmers and people that, you know, loved the agricultural arts. And all you had to do was, you know, keep some alive and then bring one to the county fair and show it. And then that would show that, you know, you did your part with learning animal husbandry. So that was where my family got our chickens from. You hear of people with like 10 or 20 chickens in their backyard. That's not really enough. Chickens are great, though. They keep the ticks down. Like, you haven't lived until you've walked around like your blackberry patch and not getting eaten up by ticks because the chickens are actually working for a living. It's great. It's great. Sure, they squawk and are annoying and stuff, but they eat insects that you don't want to eat, and that makes them very worthwhile. Chickens are like the spiders of the outside, only more delicious. I don't know. Maybe they're the same amount of delicious as spiders. I just, you know, don't have the palate for it. Not very advanced. Not really a great eater of arachnids. Although, plenty of 8-legged creatures like crabs are delicious. And what is a shrimp but a spider in the ocean? Don't answer that. Investing in chickens is crazy. They're actually very, very affordable. And if you have, like we lived in the country, we didn't have a ton of land. We had like 20 acres or whatever. But if you live in the country, they basically don't need very much extra food at all. Or at least in the country here in Arkansas, where, you know, it's temperate and we have plenty of insects. Maybe in, like, if you lived in, like, Canada, then chicken rearing would be a more difficult proposition. Oh no, I've talked about chickens too long. I have to go to work. Yeah, the Zoglin do very much act like boars. Back when you had chickens a few times, you had dingoes, wild dogs, and foxes sneaking in. Dingoes? Oh, Australian, I see. Very interesting. Wild dogs, yeah. You sound like you would understand my childhood well. There were also wild dogs around where we lived. It's very sad. Because, well, like, people would just take their animals out to the bayou and abandon them, right? And then they would form, like, feral packs running through, you know, the blank space where there weren't people living, and very sad. But I guess, yeah, like, in many other parts of the world, you still have to worry about, like, wild dogs and stuff, but the wild dog packs, that's one of the stories of my life that's, like, it comes off as very wild to people, even that I just, like, went to school with, because 10 miles away from me is, well, not, like, civilization. I live in Arkansas, but, you know, it's, you know, paved roads, but, feral cats, yeah, absolutely. But sounds like you have an interesting life around animals as well. You had sheep and goats. We had goats. Like I said, I'm not going to get into it, but I hate sheep. I don't like them at all. We did not have them. I probably would have tried to kill them. I hate sheep. But anyway, we're saving that for the 1 million subscriber special. So even in a city, there'll be tons of animals out to get them. Yep. Yep. But anyway, I have got to go to work. I was supposed to turn this off like 10 minutes ago. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'll just show up late, a little bit late, and that'll be fine. Everybody will forgive me. They won't even notice I'm away. But thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I really hope you've enjoyed. And we'll be back later on today. I'll probably play some Space Marine for several hours. But, you know, the wheat field is not complete. And so we will keep on planting it. But man, is it ever getting awesome. We're cutting through this savanna biome here just as planned. We've got the forest on one side and the field on the other. And it's, you know, it's working out wonderfully. I think next time we'll just tackle this little quadrant here. And then, you know, just sort of like push up and envelop it like the wheat is invading the savanna. For indeed it is. Indeed it is. But that's all. See you. Oops. Thanks for hanging out. It was fun talking about the destructive tendencies of wild animals and indeed people. For there wouldn't be all of these feral cats if it weren't for people in the first place. You like to build canals for a project like this? Yeah, I have a canal. I wanted to build like a railway line underneath. So this is sort of like, this island is sort of like where I lived for a while and like where I keep most of my stuff. That's where like my villager stuff is at. And this over here is where my spawn was. And I don't really live over here. This is just where my field of 2,000 cows is at. So I've got the canal there connecting, and then like this canal here, which was like one of my very first projects, and then a little spur off to this thing. My world was so small whenever I was working on this. Like I just thought that this was all there was. But yeah, but I wanted to build like an underground railway from here over to there. But I might just do an overground railway over the side of this, or like all the way down it. I don't know. I haven't decided, but it would be better. 3 blocks wide, 2 side blocks were slabs, in the middle was packed ice, and on top of the packed ice there was rails. Ooh. Slabs to keep you from going to the side, and then just, yeah, that does sound interesting. But I gotta quit talking. I've gotta quit talking. I have to put on my boots and go to work. So I'll see you. Thank you. Thanks for chatting. I'm not complaining at you for talking to me. I'm complaining to me for still being here to talk. But good afternoon or night if it's night where you are, and I will be around.